Imagine investing $55,000 of your savings in a franchise. The first term starts and it's promising, and then boom, next term, you're in the negative and you're losing $5,000 in profit, bleeding cash. This is what happened to one of our franchisees. She booked in a coaching call with me, and I'm going to take you through the exact changes we did to turn her profit around. Let's get into the video. Hey guys, so my name's Emile. I'm the franchise owner of Little Boomers Basketball. We're a kids sports franchise all across Australia. Sometimes our franchisees go through rough patches. When they do, we're here to support them. During this coaching call, I took my franchisees through 5 key changes that they made in their business. I'm going to show you what the before and after look like and how we turn their business around. Let's get into it. Okay, so here are the numbers, guys. This is before the coaching call, and then we're going to reveal what the numbers were after. So revenue was about $9,000. Now, keeping in mind she was 3 months into the franchise, so she was early on. But I'm not too concerned about the revenue. There was some other stuff that was happening here. The court hire fees, which is the money you pay to hire the court, was $3,800. That's a lot of money. That's almost half of the revenue gone to court hire fees. And when we dug a little bit deeper, we found out that she had way too many days booked. She had 4 hours on Saturday, 2 hours on Thursday, 1 hour on Monday. And that was a problem because her members were scattered all throughout those different classes. And there's a number that we preach here to our franchisees that is the most important number that drives profitability when you're coaching kids. It's average enrollments per class. So I'm going to explain average enrollment per class. Let's say you're doing 5 classes a week. You're doing 5 classes a week and you've got 100 kids, right? What is your average enrollment per class? You go 100 divided by 5, it's 20. So 20 per class is how much you have in each class. Now, let's say, for example, you've got those same 100 kids, right, over here. 100 kids. But the only thing different is you're doing 10 classes a week. All of a sudden now you've got 10 kids per class. Sorry about the writing, guys. But look at that drastic change. Same number of kids, except one's doing 5 classes a week, one's doing 10 classes a week. As a result, look at the difference here between the average kids per class. And the example that I want you guys to picture is, let's say you purchase a school bus, right? It costs money to purchase a school bus. You got to get insurances. You got to get petrol. You've got maintenance cost. Your job is to get that school bus at 100% occupancy. Now, let's say you're at 50% occupancy and you say, you know what, it'll be a great idea. Let's go purchase a second school bus. You then get a second school bus. You have all the running costs for the second school bus, and then you get a third one, so on and so forth. So you don't want to buy a second school bus unless your first one is at least at 90% capacity. And because the franchisee opened up too many classes too quickly, she had a low average enrollment per class and she wasn't making money. She was actually in the negative for each class. So our average, to make profit and to break even on each class, you need about 8 kids. So she was actually losing money every single class that she was running. Hey, just quickly, if you want to see if a Little Boomers basketball franchise is the right fit for you, book a discovery call with me and I'd love to have a chat. The second concern was the wages. She was spending $5,300 on wages, and that was a big concern. That was over half of revenue. And when I found out why that was, she actually hired a part-time coach to deliver her classes. Now, she thought it'd be a good idea, delegate, have a coach come in. But early on in the business, when you're trying to run a lean operation and you're building your customer base, you want to keep all your costs lean. Having a part-time coach and paying 20 hours was actually costing her a lot of money. And then the last thing was marketing. And when I asked her how much she was spending on marketing, marketing was all bundled up to accounting fees, admin fees. There wasn't a structured amount on how much she was spending on marketing. And the challenging part was when I asked her which part of her marketing efforts is bringing her the most revenue, she wasn't sure of. So there was no tracking on which channel is bringing her the most customers. As a result, the net profit for that term, so her second term in business, she was actually in the negative $5,500. So she was actually losing money in her second term of operation. So we made a couple of key changes during the coaching call. I'm going to explain what they were. Let's rip off the Band-Aid. Boom. So she made $14,000 in revenue her next term. So she jumped from $9,000 to $14,000. And the main driver for that was we said, what are we going to focus on for the quarter? Because she was focusing on different types of programs, daycare, schools, after school care. Her attention was going everywhere. When we dialed down and said, we're going to focus on one number, which is enrollments, she had 40, and then she went to 70 enrollments, and that's where all her revenue came from. She dialed down on enrollments. And the other thing was, she wasn't tracking her enrollments every single day. There's a saying in business that goes, what gets measured gets managed. So I told her and her husband, I want you to put up a massive scoreboard in your room. Every time you get a new enrollment, you go to that scoreboard and you put it down, you cross it down, literally every single day. And because they were focusing on that number and obsessing over that number, it grew over time. And I even took a photo of the scoreboard and sent it over to me. So always remember, if you want a number to go up or even down, you got to track it religiously. Then her core higher wages was $3,800 before. It dropped to $2,700. What she did was cancel classes that were empty or only had a couple of kids, and that reduced her court wages. And as a result, the classes were more fuller because there was less available classes on the timetable. And then the wages went from $5,300 to $0. She got rid of her part-time coach. Her and her husband said, you know what, we'll coach the classes until they start to pick up. So she literally saved $5,000 in that term from cutting down her wages. So we did all of these changes. And the main change we did with her marketing is I said to her, I want you to track where your customers are coming from, and we're going to double down on that platform. And do you know where all of her customers were coming from? Shopping centers. She had a lot of success going out to shopping centers and reaching out to the local community and people finding her. So what do you think we did? During the school holidays, she booked a 5-day shopping center and got a boatload of leads and converted them into the program. And as a result, ding, 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 she was profitable that term, $4,400 in the green, but she actually didn't make $4,000 profit. She made $9,000 profit, because when you're in the negative, you got to add that to your positive. She was in a negative $5,000, then she made $4,000. So she made a total profit of $9,000 because she went out to the negative and she went into the positive, and then her net profit margin was about 33, 34%. In our industry, kids sports, you want to aim for at least a 33% net profit margin. And then at the bottom, number 10, her average enrollment per class went up to 10, which is huge. She was at 6.1, she went up to 10, meaning every single class that she was running was making a profit, and she did that by canceling the number of classes and increasing the number of members. And that's it, guys. This is our before and after case study finished. If you enjoyed this type of video, I've got another video for you to watch where I break down a Little Boomers Basketball profit and loss statement in even more granular detail, from the royalty fee to everything else. Click below to watch it. Thanks for watching.